Greetings, loyal Sound Advice, hearing friendly business podcast listeners. Thanks for tuning in. It's so nice for you to tune in. It's Teresa, known in some circles as Hearific and Terrific. For those of you who are more serious minded, I'm known as the hearing awareness expert to help businesses connect with a multi-trillion-dollar mismarket niche. So there you go. And that happens to be people that have hearing loss. And there are 2.2 million veterans that have hearing loss. And so it's no longer just an older person's problem anymore, or a health disease. It affects everyone. And so today I learned a valuable lesson. And I would love to share this story with you. It's called patience, not the medical patience, but patience where you have patience. And I hope I'm enunciating that correctly. Most of you know I have a 57% hearing loss in this ear and a 56 in the other ear. I may have them reversed. But today I had 3 Zoom meetings today with no captioning, absolutely none. That is an ADA requirement, just so you're aware of that. And I am going to get an affiliate link within the next couple of days where I can offer you an affiliate link on Zoom to have your Zoom call be ADA compliant. So therefore, those people who even have a mild hearing loss, that may be where they can't hear a whisper. So that's what it amounts to in real life times. But on those Zoom calls, as you may recall, I do have that hearing loss, 57 and 58. So I do need hearing aids to help my life go. When I'm at home, I take this little lapel button, and when I have my hearing aids in, I have it upright. When I don't have them in, if there's a magnet on the back of this, I just turn it upside down. So therefore, anyone in my neighborhood knows that Teresa doesn't have in her hearing aids. So you have to come up to me and speak face to face for me to be able to understand you. So my first Zoom call this morning was at 7 a.m. Being a morning bird, that was great for me, as I had already been up since 5 a.m. And last night, for some reason, I don't know if it was the almost full moon or what, but I had a little bit of a challenge going to sleep. And then also, I'm pretty passionate right now because I'm creating a program called Hearing Awareness Academy. And that's where this kind of all went today. So my first meeting was with a woman named Daniela Clark, who was presenting the ins and outs of Instagram. And of course, selling her program to help me improve with my Instagram skills. In fact, there was even somebody on there that wanted to know if Instagram was too old for people that were over 50. Well, I'm a tad or two older than that. So yes, even those of us who are older than 50 use that. And I also found out that Snapchat is mostly for the teenage group. So I do have that app. I will be deleting that from my repertoire, so I don't need to use that. But Danielle Clark's presentation was only a one-way presentation. I believe she lives in Chicago. I did not have any trouble understanding her speech. She spoke clearly and had a nice presentation with bullet points on it, so it was easy to follow along. And the ones I did get lost, I simply posted in chat and she simply clarified. I've been using Zoom for a while before it became COVID friendly, for lack of a better way to describe it. And once I posted in chat, she clarified, which is called active listening. It may even be where you write something down to let the other person know what they need to actually hear. On the second Zoom call, it was from Kajabi, K-A-G-A-B-I, at 10 a.m. this morning, so still in my morning hours. This was where a woman named Nancy was going to help me with my online course, that Hearing Awareness Academy. Again, the connection was easy. And at one point, she was helping me so much that I requested that she recorded. Because if you were the host of a Zoom call, then you have to give the other person permission to record it. So I asked her if she would record it so she could resend it to me, because she was giving me a lot of valuable information. But I knew at this point in my day, I was already getting kind of tired of listening, to be quite honest with you. So there we go. And so I could rewatch all of her expertise for input at a later time. In the meantime, I made several telephone calls. I watched a little TV to catch up on the political and pandemic news. So at this point, my ears were tired, as I've already stated. And for those of you who have hearing loss, then just know you are concentrating more than the average person to stay connected to the hearing world. And equally so, if you have someone in your circle that has hearing loss, which is 1 out of 5 of us that have hearing loss, then ask the person, is now a good time for us to talk? Or is now a good time for you to listen? But I like the word, is now a good time for us to talk better. That's much better. So basically what I did was, with the various sources of communication that were offered to me this morning, including one human voice who does have clear diction, and I could hear him and can hear him without hearing aids, but I still really needed to concentrate. So it's that concentration. On TV, I don't know how many of you have captioning, but I have captioning on my TV, as well as also any movies I watch, whether it's on the computer or whether it's also on regular TV. So I once recalled I had a man. I was at the Del Mar Fair when I had a nonprofit called the International Hearing Challenge Awareness Group. And for that group, I had a booth at the Del Mar Fair during the summertime. And I had a man once tell me that his hearing aids were set to listen to one voice, and that was a woman walking behind him. What a wise man, and it pleased the woman also as she beamed ear to ear. So as you are using your hearing aids out there in the world, and you find, even I had a Bible study class one time where I could not hear the man's deep voice. So as long as you own your hearing aids, then you can go back into whoever your audiologist was and ask them to make adjustments. That's one reason why they're so expensive, I guess. But I did have my hearing aids adjusted also, where I could hear this man's deep tones. And equally so, this man had his hearing aids geared towards a woman who had she did have a high-pitched voice, if I remember correctly. My third Zoom call is what prompted this topic of patience. For those of you who have a hearing loss, this will be on YouTube, and I will put that in show notes. But patience, PATIENCE. And here it is phonically. P as in Peter, A as in apple, T as in Teresa, I as in ice cream, E as in eat, N as in Nancy, C as in cat, and E as in excellent. So there we go. And hope you're enjoying this. And for those of you who have that hearing loss, we have some services that we can offer to you. So I had this customer service representative on my Zoom call from Kajabi. His name is RJ, and some people know me as TJ. So in certain circles, since I'm known as that, I right there told this younger man, in all probability, that I was TJ. So right there you have rapport. So anytime you're trying to connect with someone, look to see how you can connect with them for that connection with rapport. Whether it's their looks, whether it's their voice, whether it's initials. So I'm also known as TJ. However, I had a hard time with his voice. And I thought, oh no. He is someone from India or someone from one of those Asian countries. And I don't know what it's called linguistically, but they have a certain lit that I have a hard time understanding with my hearing loss. And so it on my end, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just my ears are not used to that accent. But remember my patience. So patience right there. So after all, India is part of Asia. I do love the politeness, the kindness, the compassion, and the thoughtfulness of the customer service representatives that are from India or other parts of Asia. And I'll give you a clue. RJ is neither one of those. So keep tuned in so you hear where he's from. So there are certain dictions that are just hard for me. And because I am a type A personality, I would have been most often to say, well, let me speak to someone else, or let me speak to your supervisor, or take my total lead. But I had already told this man in our live chat that I was going to let him lead. So I very quickly took my driver personality and pulled it back and decided that I would let him control. So I counted to 10 silently. I took a couple of nice deep breaths. So if you're ever stressed out, just breathe in through your nose. And let it out through your mouth. Just purse your lips together as if you're sucking on a straw. So that's what you do. You do that 10 times and it will calm you right down. And especially with all that we're going through right now. So I did that and I decided to stick with it. And I was so impressed and I had an absolutely amazing experience because after I was able to relax enough where I could understand what he was saying clearly, yes, I did actually understand what he was saying clearly. And it was absolutely phenomenal that I was able to do that. So it was just a matter of me taking control of me and deciding I was going to really concentrate my listening skills and to really be patient because this man was Zooming for me and he was doing something that no one in 3 months previously as a customer service representative had done. The woman this morning was an activation customer service representative, which is in a different category. But that was just phenomenal that he did do that. And of course, he was ready for me to go ahead and get on with my project on my online courses, the Hearing Awareness Academy. So yes, he did overwhelm me. But I had to share with him that I was just too tired to listen. And so I did tell him that. And so he decided, okay, this lady, he saw my face and this is after that. So you're seeing Teresa's tired face. I do smile whether I'm tired or whether I'm not. But he was kind about that. And he said he was going to go ahead and send me over the recorded Zoom link so I could go over it more if I was lost. Was I grateful that he had that I had the foresight to have patience? Oh, yes. I mean, it made night and day for me. And just let this customer service tech lead me through this program. You betcha. I mean, he knew what he was doing and he was clear. And not only that, the other two representatives, amazingly enough, were on his team. And so if you're on a live chat with someone, especially with Kajabi, I've been told that you can easily request a certain one. And these three people I really connected up with. So if you're a hearing impaired or have a hearing loss, you do have a disability. Yes, it is a disability. It's not an old person's problem anymore. As I told you earlier, 2.2 million young Middle Eastern vets came back with hearing loss. And it's covered under a law in 2008, the American Disabilities Amended Act. And so I will give a webcast on this so that you can learn more about what you need to do. But in the meantime, you can send me an email to contact@hear, C, the letter C, just like in Hear Communication, hear, the letter C.com, and I will send you a free, yes, free. The only attachment is that I'll get your email, but it'll just be on my team, with my team and I. We won't spam you or any of that kind of stuff. And if you need to opt in first, but I'll give you a free 3 courses, free exposure to how to understand hearing loss, as well as some tips and trips on effective communication skills, as well as a few ADA laws. So if you're a business owner out there, you might really want to do it. So it was okay to tell the other person. RJ was very understanding, as was Nancy earlier. Then if you have a customer that is just not tracking. I mean, I had another representative, he and I were just not on the same page. But if you're a customer service representative, and especially if you're doing it virtually these days, and the other person, you've explained it and you've explained it and they're just not getting it, perhaps ask something like, what do you see on the screen? And that is called active communication. So they are describing what they see on the screen. And if you're seeing 2 totally different things, or if they answer off topic, then they, in all probability, have not heard you and have a hearing loss. So works best for me is to build rapport. It's to share who I know with hearing loss. I might use myself, or I might use somebody else. And since it's 1 out of 5 that have hearing loss, you've got to know somebody, and say, you know, my aunt, or in my case, I will sometimes say my grandmother, even though my grandmother had great hearing, it was my aunt, Peggy, her daughter, that is deaf, you know. So I even told RJ that I was hard of hearing in the beginning of the call. That is the legal definition in the United States for those of us who have hearing loss. But I told him I was hearing impaired, because that seems to be the term everyone understands these days, not hearific and terrific. And due to all the difficulty understanding, because of that, I was having difficulty understanding his accent. It was my ears. So I took total responsibility for not being able to understand his accent. But I asked him if he'd be patient. I'd try to get through this. I then put on my total concentration hat. Yes, total 100%. Here I am, focused and ready to listen to you, to figure out what he was saying. Amazing. We got through an hour, just like you're getting through 15 or 20 minutes by now. And I was totally wrong. He was from Manila, down in the Philippines. So that's where he was from. And his friends, the 2 other Kajabi representatives that helped me previously, that I had positive experiences with, were actually 2 of his buddies, you know. So one was a woman who was actually a nurse here in the United States. So and now she moved back to Manila, which is her hometown. And here's a little tidbit, because I did wish him happy Halloween, and I did wish him Merry Christmas early in advance. And then I said, well, I won't wish you happy Thanksgiving, because you probably don't celebrate that there, because I didn't know. And he said, because we have so many Americans here in Manila, then we do celebrate Thanksgiving, but they use chickens rather than turkeys. So just a little fun fact. In fact, I told him, so I told you about Melania and I told you about John B, because we're now connecting with people globally all over the world. And it's important to make sure that you keep up with all the latest technology. So make sure you keep up and break out of this isolation if you're homebound or if you've got a hearing loss. There is no reason why you can't be entertained by something on YouTube, and you just look for CC. So the letter C for closed captioning on anything on YouTube, and you can watch movies, you can listen to concerts, you can travel around the world on YouTube and other different apps. So today I learned a new Tagalog. That's the language that they speak down in Manila or the Philippines, because I asked RJ if that's what he spoke, because as a former emergency room department manager and also intensive care room nurse, I've worked with a lot of women and men that are nurses from the Philippines. So I have done that. And back east, I used to work with, because I was in Richmond, Virginia, I used to work with a lot of Black, both nurses and aides. They have different names these days, but they basically were the ones that made our lives possible. When I only did floor nursing for just 1 year, so med surge, that was all, because I needed something different. So I asked him if he spoke Tagalog, and he said yes, that was his primary language. And I asked him how to say bye, because, it was time for me to go because I needed to do other things and I was too tired to listen. So do use that. And if you can't say you're too tired, you can say, Teresa said, when I'm too tired to listen, I should let you know. So you can use me. I don't care. Say Nurse Barnes, said to go ahead and be quiet. So when he said it verbally or auditorily a couple of times, I didn't quite catch it. So he put the name in the Zoom link, and it's Palem. And I'm going to give it my best try because it's been a couple of hours, but Palem. So Palem is bye in Tagalog. And if I miscorrected, if I haven't done it properly, then I know that people that have hearing loss, we basically miss A's and E's, a lot of vowels and consonants. And so I told RJ that I have memorized a lot of words that I would misenunciate just because I've got the hearing loss. So Palem is, I believe, how you say it. So Palem. And I tried just 3 times and he said I got it. So when I was talking to him, he said it was right. And any of you who speak Tagalog, just go ahead and connect up with me. I would, hearing losses around the globe. And since we're on the topic of Filipinos, or I'm on the topic of Filipinos, I did meet a woman who is an event manager here in San Diego. And she said that her brother, who is somewhere around 40 or so, or maybe a little bit younger than that when he was growing up, which is in the 20th century, so we're not talking about Stone Ages ago, that he was made fun of for having hearing loss. So this is what I'm bringing the hearing loss awareness up to the 21st century level, where people with hearing loss, no matter how old or how young they are, they don't get stigmatized anymore and they don't get made fun of anymore. And you can wear something like this proudly to let people see that you have a hearing loss. And you can't make fun of women with blonde hair, but I've got blonde hair. And I hope you're enjoying those of you that see me on YouTube, enjoy seeing my curly hair. This is a la natural. My straight hair that you see on my podcast is where I go and have it blow dried and that sort of thing. But this is a la natural curl. This is what I was born with. And the other day I had a hairdresser that said I should wear this all the time. But I don't know if I'm ready to flip and flop with all my new marketing things, because sometimes curly hair looks good and sometimes it doesn't. It has a mind of its own, or it's really affected by the atmosphere. So for your listening experience, I say palum. And for those of you on YouTube, I am putting my fingers up to my chin and I'm reaching out and I'm saying thank you in sign language. So check me out on YouTube as well, and that'll be in show notes. So long for now, and I look forward to meeting you sometimes on Zoom.